And with our first story that we have here today, now this is something that I have touched upon with Logan a little bit last week. There were so many things that we wanted to talk about that we only summarized our quick thoughts about the matter, considering that there was the teaser trailer that was released last week, and we did touch upon the controversy a little bit, but not a whole lot. We just wanted to express our thoughts about the announcements that has happened, and even the fact that we're getting a whole lot more Disney live-action remakes in general. But now, considering that we are at the point where things have really gotten out of hand, I feel like now would be a great time to fully get into this controversy, to really dive deep into the drama and what has been going on, and pretty much call out the stupidity of this entire situation. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and begin with our first story as we talk about the Little Mermaid controversy. So, as you guys probably know, like I said before, at the D23 Expo, Disney revealed a teaser trailer for the upcoming 2023 Disney live-action remake of The Little Mermaid. And one element that really does stand out...
Yeah!
Oh, hold on a sec. Thank you so much, Cinema Again Reviews, for the subscription right there. And back to what I was saying... yes, with the Little Mermaid remake, and the one thing that it does stand out is the fact that we have Halle Bailey, a well-known black singer, who is going to be playing the role of Ariel. And in that teaser trailer, we actually did get our first taste, in which she also sang a small portion of Part of Your World. Apparently at the D23 Expo, she actually sung the entirety of Part of Your World, in which she got a massive standing ovation. Now, from there, this decision casting of the fact that we are going to get a black Ariel, some people are not that okay with it and did not hesitate to go and express their frustrations upon the matter. And from there, the backlash on the reboot just quickly became bigger and bigger and bigger, to the point that on YouTube, apparently the teaser trailer ended up accumulating more than 1 million dislikes. Some reports even say that it has accumulated over 2 million dislikes. I don't know if it's just from the one teaser trailer from like the Walt Disney Pictures YouTube channel, the one that they have uploaded, or if it's from all the Little Mermaid trailers in general. But still, it was one of those that some people on the internet really love to hate. However, at the same time, there are other groups of people that wanted to go and call out those haters, in which they saw that a lot of the hatred from this movie is mainly regarding the fact that they have hired a black actress or a black singer playing the role of Ariel, and that a lot of it is due to racism. And from there, this has pretty much accumulated into this massive culture war in which we have people defending the movie and its casting choice of Halle Bailey as Ariel versus people who are completely against it and accuse this of race swapping, accuse Disney of forced diversity, and all that kind of stuff. It just really resulted into this massive culture war where now the 2023 Little Mermaid has become an entire political debate in itself, where discussing about the movie has less to do about the movie itself, and it has more about regarding race. It's pretty much, imagine like reliving the Black Lives Matter movement, but instead of a legitimate movement that matters, people would only talk about a Disney live action remake. And that's the whole situation that we are seeing right now. It's pretty much a big political battle of the left versus the right, but now it's all regarding the Little Mermaid remake and should a black actress play as Ariel. And it's pretty much accumulated to the point where it's kind of hard to go and have a proper discussion about this remake, because I'm just going to go and express my full thoughts right now that personally, I am not excited for this movie. Like, I'm not really anticipating for this feature, mainly because of the fact that I'm not really a fan of Disney live action remakes. And I mean, not too long ago, I just came out of watching the Pinocchio remake on Disney Plus. And I'm sorry, but that movie was just hot garbage. It was really bad, and I did not enjoy it one bit. And when Disney made all those announcements of more remakes coming soon, like Peter Pan, The Little Mermaid, Snow White, Mufasa, you know, it was at the point where I was in the mood where I just really wasn't in, you know, I just didn't really want to hear that there's more of that coming, that more of what I've just witnessed with Pinocchio shall be coming in more. So the fact that we're going to get a Little Mermaid movie, which will have the same treatment like we've recently seen with films such as Aladdin or The Lion King or Beauty and the Beast, is not necessarily something that I am excited about. But then again, when it comes to the actual casting of Halle Bailey, that one I don't mind. That one, I think it's perfectly okay, and she has definitely proven herself that she could definitely play the part, especially when the fact that the main thing that you need to have to play as Ariel is a good voice, since her voice is like a key element, not just in terms of her character, but also with the entire feature film itself. So you can't really do something like you can't really do something like the 2017 Beauty and the Beast, where you would go and hire someone that may look the part, but sounds like a Five Nights at Freddy's animatronic. So at least I am glad that Disney brought in a really good singer. And from the stuff that I've heard about her performances, especially when she did sing Part of Your World at the D23 Expo, apparently she is fantastic. Like, she got a massive standing ovation. Everyone loved it. So honestly, in that regard, I'm not necessarily bothered by. But the thing that I feel like it's so bothersome to have this discussion in the first place is because the political aspect has been so heated up with it. It feels like now you can't really talk about it without people taking it too personally. Where now, like, you have to be in a moment where you got to pick a side of like, oh, if you love it, like, if you support Black rights, you should love this Little Mermaid reboot. Yeah! We also got an extra subscriber. Thank you, Amar Loves Art. But anyways, as I was saying, the fact that it's becoming so personal, where now it's like you like supporting or not supporting the movie, it pretty much tells you how you support Black rights and stuff like that. And I feel like it's just a situation that has really gotten out of hand, where like this is a moment where the internet has truly turned a molehill into a mountain, you know, like really taking something completely out of proportion and is now making the discussion entirely political. And now it's about Black rights for some reason, because of the fact that now we have received a Black Ariel. And I can pretty much say right now that having a Black Ariel is the least of this movie's issues. And honestly, I do agree that for those people who are massively upset of the fact that we are getting a Black Ariel, or the fact that the Ariel in the live action remake will be played by a Black actress, yeah, I do find that stance is actually pretty racist. There's no other way around it. And all the arguments that people would go and make, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, some might find, you know, like there are some that some may think sounds logical, but all of them are completely idiotic. They're pretty much at the point where like they make absolutely no sense. There's no reason to bring this kind of argument into it because there's an easy answer, or it's just something that like it feels completely ridiculous, and you're just making yourself look even more stupid by enabling those kinds of arguments. Like, one great example is one that the far right and anti-woke people love using so much is apparently this discussion brought up by fascist Matt Walsh. And by the way, I'm not calling Matt Walsh a fascist because I want to put him down or like make him look bad or anything like that. He actually calls himself that. Like, he is like a legitimate self-proclaimed fascist. So that's not me. That is like legit Matt Walsh's words. But anyways, so a lot of anti-woke people actually use a talking point from Matt Walsh in which he would bring up the scientific aspect of having a Black mermaid, in which he argues that it is scientifically impossible for a black mermaid to actually exist, or for black people to actually live underwater, or if people do live underwater, it would be impossible for them to be black because of the scientific notions of how the sun rays would hit the water and how they like transcend into water. Like the sun doesn't hit as hard when you're underwater, more so than when you are above water. So that is one major argument that you see the far right and anti-woke people go and pass around. Okay, now there are two things that I would like to bring up about that on why he is absolutely wrong on that. Number one, like if we look into the scientific aspect, maybe there is some truth that like when you live deep underwater, there's no way that you can catch the sun rays and have your skin be more tan. So it is possible that your skin will end up being white or maybe even translucent. But when it comes to Ariel, on several occasions, regularly, in fact, we actually do see her come out of the water. Often she would hang out above water so that she would go and have a chat with some of her friends like Scuttle. So it is common that Ariel would be above the water so that she would go and actually get some sun rays. You know, she would actually get a tan. And considering that in terms of the lore of mermaids, often they do show up above water. Like they do pop out their heads and sometimes they can get a breath of fresh air. They can breathe both air and they can breathe underwater. So it is possible that they can go and actually get a tan and result in themselves having a bit of darker skin. Not to mention that even though the rays won't hit as hard when you're underwater, it can still hit you when you're in shallow waters, which mermaids can often appear in shallow waters, or they can go swim around in shallow waters. Now, if you want a realistic comparison, take a look at manatees. Manatees actually have the same kind of skin as humans do, or at least the same kind of skins that mammals would have. And if you look at some manatees, they can swim around in shallow waters and their skins can actually be a bit darker than Caucasians. So it is indeed possible to actually get a tan even if you live underwater. It just depends where. Like, yeah, if you live in the deep ocean where everything is black, then yeah, maybe your skin is translucent. But in the case of mermaids, it is indeed possible, according to their lore and what we've seen in Disney's The Little Mermaid, that yes, they can indeed get a tan. And also there is another argument onto how it is absolutely stupid about what Matt Walsh was doing. The fact that he is questioning the scientific accuracy of The Little Mermaid. Do you realize how dumb that sounds? Do you realize how ridiculous that statement is? That someone is questioning the scientific accuracy, the realistic elements of The Little Mermaid. You don't even see YouTubers do that because we accept the fact that everything in there is completely fantasy. Like, okay, let's forget the notion about mermaids. Like, yeah, we know mermaids are not real, but even if you look beyond that, there is still a massive list of all the things that are wrong with looking into the scientific accuracy of The Little Mermaid. We're talking about a movie that has talking fish, that fish somehow now have the ability to go and communicate. And we know that in the remake or even in the original, like we've seen all different kinds of animals that can talk. We've seen fish that can talk, like with Flounder or Flotsam and Jetsam. We've seen crabs talking with Sebastian. Even other animals like Scuttle, a seagull who is talking. And they're going to do the exact same thing with the remake as well. Not to mention that they can also play music. I wonder, like, those people who are questioning the scientific accuracy of Black Mermaids, would they go and question the scientific accuracy of a scene like Under the Sea? Like that little musical number? How is it even possible for music to actually transcend so that we could actually hear the music that's actually playing, or how they play all their instruments and all that kind of stuff? Like, nobody's gonna go and question, like, the scientific accuracy of the music and the speaking and, like, the speaking roles in The Little Mermaid while everyone is underwater. And then you got Ursula. Oh boy, now that is a scientific train wreck right there. I mean, we're literally talking about a sea witch with octopus legs. Like, that itself defies all logic in science. But then, hold on, there's more to it. Her powers, though. Her powers. What the fridge is all of that about? I mean, she's able to make potions and concoctions, and she's capable of making dreams come true. The ability of taking anyone and turn them into someone who is handsome and beautiful. And also with Ariel, she is able to go and make a deal where she can transform her fins into legs. And all that in exchange of literally taking her voice, to literally take her voice to the point where now with her legs, she is no longer able to speak. Like, period. That's it. And on top of that, there's also this, terms of conditions that apparently there is a bit of a deadline with this deal, that if she cannot get a true love's first kiss, then somehow the legs magically turn into fins. And all of this through a contract. And yet nobody seems to want to go and actually question the scientific accuracy of any of that. So let me go and ask you, if people are willing to hold their suspension of disbelief among all the things that happen in The Little Mermaid, how is it that they cannot hold their suspension of disbelief about the existence of a black mermaid? How is it that you look at everything in The Little Mermaid, like you're perfectly fine with it, you could perfectly get yourself invested in it, and then suddenly you see a black mermaid and you're like, wait a minute, something's not right here. Something's a bit unrealistic about this Little Mermaid movie. So overall, the thing is, not only is the scientific accuracy of Matt Walsh completely wrong, even when you look into the lore aspect of mermaids, but also it is completely stupid in the first place to even do so, like to scientifically analyze The Little Mermaid, because it's a fairy tale. It's all made up. It's a fantasy. You're not supposed to look into the scientific accuracy of The Little Mermaid. No one has ever done so for decades. So why the fridge now when we have the existence of a black mermaid? I'm telling you, it's the dumbest thing that I've honestly heard all week. And I just want to say right now, if Matt Walsh really is as intelligent as he portrays himself, he would not be a Trump-supporting conservative. There's no such thing as a Trump-supporting conservative who is actually like mighty intelligent and knows all and can have like intellectual arguments and scientific rundowns as to what is real and what is not. It's like, no, you're not, dude. You're dumb. All your viewers are dumb. And that argument is freaking dumb. But then there's also another discussion that people keep bringing up. Like, one argument against this Little Mermaid, against like a black Little Mermaid, is that some people would go as far as to accuse it of race swapping. That apparently Disney is taking away a role that is supposed to be for white women and only gave it to a black girl for forced diversity reasons or whatever. So like, that is another argument that people kept on making, like the whole race swapping argument, or like trying to say like, oh, this is blackwashing or whatever. And let me just say this right now. Do you guys honestly believe that this is the first time that a non-white actress actually played Ariel? Like, this actually happened several times in the past. And I'm not talking about like local community theater stuff. I'm not talking about like little moments in parades or at the Disney parks. This is actually in major Disney productions, like officially Disney approved major productions, that has happened in which Disney's Ariel was actually played by a woman of color. And I got several examples to go and present to you. Number one being from the national tour of the Broadway show. In there, they actually had an Asian Ariel, which was actually played by Diana Huey. And in this one, yes, she actually did receive some racist attacks, the same kind that, well, maybe not as big, but the same kind of racist attacks that Halle Bailey is facing for playing as Ariel. And apparently, during that production, she was actually one of the best things. Like, she really nailed it. So from there, we actually did have on record of an official Asian Ariel. But wait, there's more. Have you guys watched Once Upon a Time? Well, then you have witnessed a Hispanic Ariel. This one specifically being I believe her name is Joanna Garcia Swisher. And she actually played Ariel in Once Upon a Time, and she is actually of Spanish descent. She actually has some Hispanic roots in her. So from there, we actually did receive a Hispanic Ariel. But hold on. There is actually more. Very recently, you may remember Disney put on the live television event, the live television special honoring the 30th anniversary of The Little Mermaid, in which we would have some live presentations of beloved musical numbers with other random celebrities playing the characters in the film. And in the role of Ariel, we actually had a Pacific Islander. Specifically, this is actually Halle Cravalho, whom you may know more as the voice of Moana. She actually got the opportunity to play as Ariel in the live television event. And by the way, I just want to mention, as you can probably see here, her skin is a little bit more darker than your usual Caucasian. Maybe not necessarily in the same level of dark as like the light skin black tone of Halle Bailey, but still though, it's noticeable that this Ariel is not white, that we did get a Pacific Islander Ariel. Oh, and by the way, not to mention the fact that on that same special, we actually received a Black Ursula. This one, and specifically right over here, this is Queen Latifah playing as Ursula in the live television special. And yeah, it's not like the TV special was not necessarily that well received, but many people did agree that the best elements in that special was both Halle Cravalho and Queen Latifah, two women of color playing as Ariel and Ursula. And by the way, there is actually one more thing that I want to go and point out. This man right here. For those of you who don't know, this is Dan Haskett, possibly the most underrated character designer in animation. The reason why I'm pointing out Dan Haskett here is because despite the fact that Glenn Keane is the animator of Ariel, Dan Haskett is the man who designed Ariel. The Ariel that we all know and love from the animated feature was actually created by him. And if you go by anti-woke logic, that means that even the original Ariel from the 1989 movie is technically considered woke because she's actually a black man's depiction of a white woman. And from there, you could technically go and make those same kind of stupid arguments of, oh, well, why is it that they didn't hire a white person to draw Ariel? Why is it that they have to give that job to a black man? You know, it's the same kind of set of rules. So, as you could see here, it's mainly due to people of color keeping Ariel's legacy to go on. It's not just Jodie Benson, but all these other actresses, regardless of whatever skin color that they may have, whatever origins that they're from, they were able to provide an unforgettable and very credible performance as Ariel. And these women have all proven that it doesn't matter what the color of your skin is, that as long as you're able to provide an unbelievable performance and you have a beautiful voice, then you are qualified to play as Ariel. And having Halle Bailey perform as Ariel really is no different than having a Pacific Islander Ariel, than than having a Hispanic Ariel or having an Asian Ariel. And even if you would see all these different Ariels, hear their beautiful voices, and you're still incapable of seeing beyond the skin color, then yes, that is indeed racism. And not to mention the fact that there are other stupid arguments that people would go and make as well in terms of this. You know, like I've seen people try to describe like, oh, but what about the little ginger girls? What about that? Why can't they see? Oh, another subscriber. Thank you so much. Wreck in the Silence Records. Oh boy, quite a mouthful of a name. But anyways, there's also the stupid argument that people are saying that, oh, childhoods are going to be ruined. What's going to happen to the little ginger girls who can no longer see themselves when they watch The Little Mermaid? What are they going to do? They can watch the original. They can go and put on the 1989 movie and they could watch that. I mean, the DVDs are still available in stores. It's available on Disney Plus. If they want to see themselves in Ariel, they can go and watch it. They can go and watch the original animated film. I mean, the only people who would unironically be concerned about that issue would be those who lack object permanence. That you would see the Little Mermaid remake and somehow completely forget that the original actually exists. And considering the kind of intelligence that we've seen from the far right and from anti-woke people, I would not be surprised that none of them legitimately have any form of object permanence, or that they would be intelligent enough to even have object permanence in general. So honestly, with all these arguments out there, like, it really goes to show that really there's no excuse to not have a black Ariel, or there's no excuse, there's no excuse to not have a black actress to come in and actually play as Ariel. There's no way around it. And also, actually, I just thought up of another argument, because I know that there are going to be those people who will bring it up. It's that we're not being racist. We're trying to go and we're actually concerned about it. We want this movie to be good, but Disney is just ruining it with their forced diversity. We're just speaking as fans. We're speaking as real fans that we're not happy with what Disney is doing. That is an argument that I know for a fact is a lie, and it's full of crap. Because when it comes to real Disney fans, when it comes to real Little Mermaid fans, they don't care about race. They don't care about the race of whoever's playing as Ariel. Again, as I pointed out, no matter which race you are, as long as you have a great voice, then you are able to go and play as Ariel. No matter what. This is what all Disney fans know, and what all Little Mermaid fans go. And if they would have an issue with the live action remake, the fact that a black actress would play as Ariel would be not one of them. Not to mention the fact that the grand majority of these people who are calling the Little Mermaid reboot woke or anything like that, it's just a bunch of pathetic grown men, a bunch of highly sensitive grown men with serious self-esteem issues and a lot of self-hatred, whom they go and try to mask their hatred for themselves by watching testosterone dumbass men like Joe Rogan or Andrew Tate. And you're trying to convince me that those people are legitimate Little Mermaid fans that are concerned about the quality of a Disney live action reboot? I mean, even though, and not to mention the fact that it's a Disney live action reboot, we know for a fact that it's not going to be as good as the original. And yet those guys are concerned about the quality of it? Are you freaking kidding me? Absolutely not. Because I can guarantee you right now, real Little Mermaid fans and real Disney fans are not concerned about the skin color of whoever is playing Ariel in the live action remake. And if you're one of those people that are crying out that it's woke or anything like that, you are not a real fan. And that's the whole thing about this entire situation. With whatever argument that they're trying to make, it still does not hide that they're just being racist, that they're only hating it because they're incapable of seeing beyond skin color and are just upset of the fact that it's not a white woman playing as Ariel, down to the point where some people would even desperately go as far, like they are so triggered about seeing a black Ariel that there's even this one mentally challenged individual who would who spend his time onto trying to create some AI technology in order to make the Ariel white. Like, this really goes to show that hate speech enablers have a mental illness. Having racist ideologies really is a very problematic mental disorder. In fact, all anti-woke people have this kind of very problematic disorder. It's completely ridiculous. And the fact is alone, no matter what argument that you are trying to make, no matter what it is, as long as you're if you're the kind of person that would gatekeep people of color from doing something that you perceive that only white people should do, then yes, you are racist. Everyone should be labeling you as racist. Your life should be ruined until you stop making those kinds of arguments, because it is unequivocally racist. In fact, there are only 3 people that would go and make these kinds of arguments against having a black Ariel. It's either trolls that want to cause chaos on the internet, absolute idiots who react before they think, and they would go and be like the kind of reactionary people that would go and just say things that they just heard some rando YouTuber would say, or true blue racists. Real absolute racist people, white supremacists that want to take down white people so that not white people, but want to take down any people of color so that only the master race would reign. It's ridiculous. Honestly, this entire situation really is blown out of proportion, all because of a black mermaid. And if nothing else, let me go and ask you one question. This is going to be the ultimate question that destroys every far-right and anti-woke argument against The Little Mermaid. I just need to go and ask you this question. Why do you care? Why is it that you care so much about this Little Mermaid reboot? Like, why do you care so much about having a black Ariel? I mean, when it comes to this casting, it's not hurting anybody. Nobody got hurt from this. Nobody died from it. Nobody got fired. Nobody lost any jobs. It's not hurting the economy. In fact, reports actually did come out from the filmmakers in which they actually stated that the reason why they hired Halle Bailey was because she's very talented. The fact that she did win a Grammy Award for her performances, and that, she was actually their first choice, that they really do feel like she is capable of actually performing this job. She's not taking away anybody's job. It's not hurting the economy. It's not hurting people. And really, it's nothing more but a live action reboot. So why do you care? I'm not asking Disney. I'm not asking the filmmakers. I'm asking you specifically. Why does this issue matter so desperately much to you, to the point that you have to go onto social media and be so invested, really let out your emotions and really just go and attack people, all because there is a black Ariel? It doesn't matter. Seriously, man, it's just a movie. It doesn't, really, there's no political agenda behind it. There's no forced diversity aspect. There's no such thing as forced diversity. There's no woke agenda that they're doing. All it is casting a person as a well-known character. That's it. Even though the race may not be the same as it was before, that doesn't necessarily mean that the movie is completely ruined. I mean, you still have the original that's still going to exist no matter what. So really, there's no logical reason as to why you would have to be so emotionally invested. The only reason why you would care so much would be because the subject of race seems to be an issue that you really care, and that you want to dictate what people of color should do. And that alone makes you racist. And even this entire situation, it's ridiculous how this is all so overblown. And it really shows more and more of how this anti-woke movement is become, they're pretty much taking off their masks, where now it shows that it's a hate group. The fact that all these people are saying that, oh, this movie is woke. They hired a woke actress. That, like, when they use woke, you know what they mean. Just switch that with the N-word, and now you got an idea of what they're actually talking about. And it really goes to show that, like, right now, all they're doing with this is just spreading hate speech. And this is a massive example of why all these white nationalist culture war YouTube channels like The Quartering, Geeks Plus Gamers, Clownfish TV, and all other channels that only incels would go and watch, they need to be demonetized. I'm not saying to go and, like, destroy their channels or anything like that. I understand, like, I respect, like, freedom of speech and stuff like that, but they should not be allowed to make a single cent off of anything they do that goes and promotes hate speech. And YouTube should also be heavily condemned for this, because they're the ones that keep on sharing this content. They're the ones that are, the ones that are going around trying to grant the grifters' wishes, trying to turn this into a massive propaganda, and they're the ones that are also capitalizing on it. And YouTube should also be called out for promoting hate speech with what they're doing right here. And this is why, again, honestly, rather it would be Disney or some kind of company to go and stand up to YouTube, tell them to make these people cut it out and force their monetization out of their channels, to make them not earn a single cent until they learn to silence their hate speech and to silence their bigoted politics. It's honestly ridiculous. And again, I've had it with this entire stupid discussion, because it feels like now it's at the point where, like, people need to go and take it so personally, because because people are using it to talk about a very serious subject matter, and it's only going to be it's only going to cause more damage than it would do good. It's honestly ridiculous. And again, like, I want to state myself, like, I'm not excited for this remake, but it's not because of having Halle Bailey play as Ariel. It is indeed possible to not be, to not support this movie, but to also support Halle Bailey as Ariel at the same time, if you get what I mean. I'm not excited for it. I don't think this is going to be a great movie. But it is not for the reasons that the anti-woke people would go around and try to say. Like, honestly, I think Halle Bailey could actually do a really good job on it. Maybe she'll actually be the best part of the movie, at the very least. But other than that, though, it's just completely ridiculous. I mean, seriously, these anti-woke people need to learn to keep their freaking politics out of this discussion. It's just a freaking movie. Grow the hell up, man. Whew. Now, I did get that out of my system. So now it's time. I want to go and ask the chat wall, and I would like to go and know from you all, how do you feel about this entire controversy? If you have anything you would like to say and just let me know what you think. Let's see what we got here. I'm not too excited for the new Little Mermaid, but I love Halle Bailey's spin on Ariel. But I just find both hilarious and pathetic that anti-woke dude bros are getting this upset over the color of a fish. I mean, this whole debacle is like a hole in cheese, in that it's not that deep. All in all, Halle Bailey deserves way better. But then again, when it comes to critiquing movies, to quote another fish played by a black actor, a lot of white fish can't do it. That is absolutely true. And one thing that does worry me about this entire controversy, I feel like in the future, like, the closer we are to the release date of this feature, which is going to be, I believe, in June, or no, it's the end of May of 2023, you know that these anti-woke people, the next step that they're going to do, they're going to use their Kiwi Farm tactics. They're going to do exactly like what they did with Moses Ingram, who played Reva in Obi-Wan Kenobi, and they're going to unleash their racist attacks on both Disney and on Halle Bailey. You know that people like The Quartering, like Geeks Plus Gamers, and the people at the Daily Wire, they're going to go and encourage to send death threats to Disney and towards Halle Bailey. They're going to go and try to do whatever they can, maybe even like dox some people who've worked on the Little Mermaid movie, like in response of this whole culture war and stuff like that. This is why they need to be called out as soon as possible, that all these anti-woke people are racist before they go and do something even worse. Because you know all those anti-woke people want to go and like worst case scenario, they want to lynch Halle Bailey. So at least stop them before they can do anything else, and call them out that all they're doing is spreading hate speech and not support, and no, like, hating on a black mermaid is indeed racist. So let's see, what else we got here? Can you hate Disney live action remakes without being a garbage person? Yes. Does hating the Little Mermaid remake just because of Ariel's race makes you a garbage person? Also yes. As much as I'm glad people are finally starting to turn against these terrible remakes, I wish it didn't come from such an insidious implication. As long as Ariel's hair is red and she can slay part of your world, she could be played by any actress of any race. Exactly. And we've seen that several times before, especially with Diana Huey and with Ali Cravalho. If they can do it, then so can Halle Bailey. Let's see what we got here. I have nothing against Halle Bailey playing Ariel. Based on the teaser trailer and her performance, she could be the best part of The Little Mermaid. People forget once upon a time, Norm Lewis, a black man, played Triton and was perfectly fine. If I may respond to Matt Walsh's so-called science, in the words of J.R.R. Tolkien, newsflash, the genre is called fair fantasy. It's meant to be unrealistic. Exactly, and quite ironic as well, considering that these anti-woke people are also trying to gatekeep people of color to play as like elves. They got so triggered when they saw the Lord, the new Lord of the Rings series, and they're only hating on it only because there are people of color playing as elves and stuff like that, and not everyone is white. It's absolutely stupid and completely pathetic. This is why, honestly, any opinion from anti-woke people, they have no merit and they're not worth listening, because there is nothing worse that you can be than some anti-woke dude on the internet. It's the most pathetic thing that you could ever be. And plus the fact that, considering that nowadays that jobs are becoming a lot more aware of what you do on social media, it's going to be that kind of attitude is going to be the kind of thing that will ruin people's lives. And you won't see honestly, you're going to see more and more anti-woke people in poverty because of their activities on the internet. Let's see. Let us make one thing clear. If you dislike this movie for being yet another live action remake, that's fine. If you dislike it for the casting, that's where we have a problem. And if you try to argue against it with either forced diversity or science, then you might not have heard about whitewashing or the fantasy genre. Honestly, the worst thing about this isn't the casting, it's the design of what looks like Flounder. My God, he was never the same after he got bootlegged. I know what you mean. Oh, that Flounder though. Like I said to Logan last week, I will completely forgive this movie if the one thing they would change is that instead of having a CG Flounder, they would bring back that stupid puppet Flounder from the live televised special. Have no explanation. Be the only Muppet in that entire movie, and I'll be completely happy. Oh, let's see what else we got here. I'm not really too excited for the Little Mermaid remake, aside from the fact that Halle Bailey did a great performance as Ariel, but my God, the controversy makes the whole argument really stupid and ridiculous. Seriously, what's the problem of having a black Ariel as the lead? There are previous instances, but those people are honestly not really fans of Disney or the Little Mermaid, and they're just being very racist. Also, Matt Walsh's scientific research is just very silly and stupid. Exactly, man. For them, as long as it sounds smart, they'll be more than happy to use it, because they're so desperate of trying to be something that they're not, and that is being intelligent. Oh, let's see. I think I'm going to read just one more comment before we move on to our next story. Two more comments, actually, before we move on. I'm going to be a little generous here. Anyways, I got to be honest here. Halle Bailey looks beautiful as Ariel. Even her singing sounds amazing. This controversy, on the other hand, is just racist and stupid. Seriously, these people need to stop being so white and just look outside of America and respect people of who they really are and what race color they have. Halle Bailey, not to be confused with Halle Berry, really deserves better for this trailer. Even though this movie itself might suck, Halle Bailey deserves a lot of credit for this. Oh, absolutely. Like, honestly, there's a part of me that does wonder, would Disney actually do anything? Would they actually step up their game and tell YouTube to do something? Or would they put out a message saying that these attacks are indeed racist and that you should not be racist? That's one thing, that's one thing that I'm wondering from all this. Like, will it happen if Disney is going to do something about it? Because it is their movie after all. All right, one more comment to read. I hate these remakes, but I will hate racists and bigots much more. I am never going to see this movie, and this isn't because of the actress. She's clearly talented, and I wish her the very best. Be honest, racist, were you even going to see it to begin with, or do you just want to scream about nonsense because you don't have anything interesting or original takes or anything? Even if your issue is that she's black, which, screw you, then how about this idea? Don't see it. Oh, they never planned to. For them, it's just spreading their propaganda. It's just it really is spreading hate speech without, like, fully displaying that they are spreading hate speech. That's all it is. None of these people legitimately care about the Little Mermaid or anything like that. They just want their white nationalism to rule over. For them, it's nothing more but a culture war, and really, especially for those YouTubers, it's nothing more but a grifting game. And this is exactly why, once again, all anti-woke and culture war YouTube channels must be demonetized, and they should be forced to have their income taken away from them so that they can go and be worried about real issues such as having food on the table and having a roof over their heads. Then at that point, they'll be concerned about real issues right there. Whew! Man, that was a lot out of my system. I feel much better. But anyways, let's now go into our next story, and we're going to go and lighten things up a little bit. And we're going to go and do a little bit of a transition, and we will be talking about different Disney movies, as considering that now we know a lot more about what's going to be coming in Disney's future. Now they have actually went into the specifics into when their movies are going to be coming out. Oh, and oh crap, I am so sorry. There's actually one more thing that I completely forgot to go and mention, and that is actually regarding this article from CNN called "A Definitive Rebuttal to Every Racist Little Mermaid Argument." Now, this is something that I highly recommend you go and actually read for yourself and use just in case you see any more of these racist people debating about, oh, we shouldn't have a black Ariel or whatever. It's actually very fascinating. It really goes in depth, and I will admit I've actually used some of these arguments myself in this podcast. So I highly recommend that you all go and check out this article. It really is worth a read, and it really is worth informing yourself to show that, what these people are doing is indeed racist, and there is no argument against having a black mermaid.